Episode number 396.
Most of the time, what people do is they come to us and they say, "Hey, we need a blank."
Right.
And then what I say is, what are you trying to accomplish? Because what you came up with might not be the best way to go.
Welcome to the Be Real Show with Travis Too Tall and Huff, where we talk about life, dreams, social media, and business.
Hello and welcome to the Be Real Show with Travis Too Tall and Huff. Folks, you know your boy is always fired up, ready to bring you some fuego in your days, nights, weekends, or whenever you are listening to the show today. But after this show, I think you're going to want to think about life, the school of life, and the school of thought differently, specifically as an agency, as a business, and thinking about your customer. And that is starting with making them care, which is the first step to sustainability, a different approach to marketing, to advertising, to creative. My man, Mr. Tom Geary. Tom, are you ready to be real?
I am ready.
Let's go.
Bring it.
So looking at the website, I absolutely love this. Sustainability is such an important thing. Obviously, it means something. Like your website says, sustainability means nothing to some and everything to others. But we know it's more and more of an important part to not only marketing, but to just life, right? Like sustainability, fighting through this virus, fighting through everything we have to do and stay sustainable, stay profitable, keep people alive on the books for the business. More than importantly than ever, and that is going to build your trust with the customer. They're going to come back to you, want to keep doing business with you. And then a lot of times, some customer might be coming on board and you've never done business with them. They see your ad campaign, your digital marketing, your social media video, and something about that variety of different things. It could be price point, it could be ran $1 million in ads, or it could be you just really told a really good story, a compelling story, a truthful and honest story that gets someone to move the dial from zero to customer, and we're in a world now where you can do these things and test, and you can run YouTube ads and just so many amazing things. But take me back into your journey. Were you always into creative and marketing, even as a youngster?
Yeah, no, I've always been interested in telling stories. It's just more recently we've been interested in telling stories about things that really matter. And that's kind of the difference,
Got you.
Nobody, where I was thinking about, we're on Zoom right now, Travis, and it's like you could use Zoom, you could use Google, you could use WebEx. It's all the same. People are choosing these platforms. Why would anybody give a shit about one platform or another? And
right.
It's like the values that the companies have matter, and how do these brands, what do they stand for? It's more than the technology. It has to be more than the technology, and people care about these things. And that's what we're trying to do, is trying to help communicate these things in a way that will make people care about a brand or a mission or a purpose.
And more, we have to be careful for our data. What are people doing with our data? What are they doing with it? How are they monetizing it? Where are they? It's powerful. I mean, Amazon,
it is.
Amazon and Facebook and Google have so much data on all of us right now that it would scare us all. I mean, between those three companies, I bet they have more data than any other companies in the world on us. Amazon, obviously shopping, all our preferences there, what we buy, what we look at, what we have in our carts, what we haven't bought yet. Facebook, we know that. And then obviously Google tracking everything, all our searches, everything we use, from the free stuff to the not free stuff, but everything. Obviously, even if you have Gmail and you're paying a little extra for the storage, they still got to be collecting, scraping data off of what's going on there. And truthfully, we like the experience most of the time as consumers, as the ad experience is more custom tailored to us. It's more based on our needs and based on our desires. And I think that is a benefit of it. The scary part as a consumer is we just don't know what they're doing with it. We just don't know what they're doing with it, and how valuable is it, I think, that's a big thing now. Obviously more and more, I'm hearing that time and time again, is just like, what are you doing with this? What are you doing with this?
Well, but also, you think about the brands, it's like, what's in the goodwill bank, right? I mean, Amazon is running around. I'm reading these articles about some guy who, we were talking about your family's had a rough go of it, and it's very tragic. I mean, lots and lots of families are having a rough go of it this last year. There was an article about a guy, I was in the Times, a guy whose wife had terminal brain cancer, and the boss in Amazon's like, come on, Bob, where's your report? And that's not the kind of value. It's just a terrible thing when companies operate that way, with this kind of ridiculous lack of humanity. And it rolls up to a brand where it's like Amazon is suddenly becoming like the Death Star. And it's just like, that's not great. So when there are issues about privacy and data and so forth, it's like the backdrop matters. If the brand has been good, if day in and day out, they have done good, then people will cut them a break. And if they haven't, then guess what? They're going to reap what they sow.
I think Apple has tried to do that around your data. I think, with all the new changes they've made with Facebook even, and rejecting some of the things you can do based on the mobile capabilities. And I think at heart, I mean, obviously we know they all have their own intentions. Let's just be real. But as a user, I feel that they are trying to protect me, and so that does build into my loyalty. Now, I don't know how they treat their customer or their employees. Are there the same situations where there's someone at Apple and they're like, hey, give me the report? I don't know. I'm sure the hard part happens, right, Tom, is when you get a business of those size and scale, that they're just, it's almost unattainable. If you haven't started from the beginning and it's not built into the culture from the baked in, it's hard to just bake this in later, as much as it could be if it was baked in from the beginning. Now, it's easier said than done.
It's easier for sure. It's easier if a company started it out the right way. But, everybody can change.
Make it change, baby. I always like the Salesforce model. I like the Salesforce model, the 1-1-1 model. Are you familiar with that? Where they give away percentage equity and things like that. And I think that's really cool. It keeps people invested. And I think that's just a really important model for people to approach and take. Mark Benioff, I think he's a really good business that's scaled and has still kind of kept with that same model he started. And the money that was, when the beginning, it was a lot smaller than it is now. 1% of the profits or whatever it is, the revenue is a lot more now than it was when they first started that. So to keep true to that only gets more of a buy-in from the team and from consumers. And if that message gets out, most people don't even know about that if they're Salesforce customers. But that's a message that needs to get out there more,
it's the right way to do things. There's one of the sort of mentors in advertising that I looked up to is this guy named Mullen, Jim Mullen. And he started an agency, and he quickly gave away a big chunk of his equity, and everyone's like, what are you doing? And he said, I'd rather have 10% of $100 million agency than 100% of $1 million agency.
Right.
And then one day, this is because advertising is pretty rough, Travis, and the culture, people generally get treated really poorly. And one day, Mullen's agency burned down, and everybody showed up 6 a.m. the next morning. The whole agency, 200-300 people are there trying to figure out how to rebuild the data, the servers and so forth. This is before the cloud.
Right.
And but to me, it's really telling. Like, the guy built a culture that was thoughtful and generous and all about the employees. And then he had a tragedy and everybody showed up. I worked at 20 agencies. I can't think of a single one where everybody would have showed up if there'd been a fire.
Right. And that's a situation where who's got your back? Who really has your back?
Got your back.
Who really has your back?
We're trying to do that a little bit more at School of Thought.
So talk to me about the customers you really guys resonate with. What types of industries or just types of businesses you really seem to work best with?
We used to do everything.
Mm-hmm.
We were great. My background as creative director, I worked all over the place. Actually, you were talking about Salesforce. I was actually offered to be the chief creative officer at Salesforce and turned it down, which is
wow.
My wife kind of shakes her head at that one. But anyway, so we've done a lot of different things. About 7 years ago, I found myself like we would do work for companies and there'd be some effort that was about doing good. Like, for example, with Charles Schwab, we tried to get them to do a campaign about helping women in Hollywood with creativity. It was during the Golden Globes. And we said, hey, there's a real problem in Hollywood. Women are treated poorly. They're aging out from roles. This is before Harvey Weinstein. This is before Me Too. And we said, why don't you guys stand for like creativity and kind of turning the tide in Hollywood and do a big thing? Partner with Reese Witherspoon, who at the time had not done much. She had just produced her first movie. She was trying to kind of be the voice of empowerment and a face of empowerment. We're like, do a campaign, call it like, She Owns It. They have the whole Own Your Tomorrow thing.
Nice.
And we really thought it was a great idea. And of course, unfortunately, they didn't end up doing it. They kind of stuck with the typical game plan, and that's okay. It's their prerogative. But we come back from that, and we're just kind of like, okay, it didn't work out, but we all felt better for it. We swung for the fences.
Right.
We tried to do something about equity and social impact and making a difference, and it didn't work out. But we have kind of ever since then really leaned into the space, and we're doing things about diversity and equity, sustainability, social impact, and it feels good. You don't always get to clear the fences, but at least we're trying.
Absolutely. So most of these businesses are gravitated towards you based on obviously your website, and if you go there, you can kind of get the feel and vibe, and then you kind of go based on that. It totally makes sense. I mean, it totally makes sense that the mission of it drives that. What challenges are some of these businesses having right now?
Well, I mean, there are a lot. It's like a remote work. People are like this is a bit. I'll tell you. Here's another thing where we kind of whiffed, but went for it. So to me, the pandemic behind the pandemic is mental health. Like, we're all affected. We've all been
1,000% on that one.
And I was just like, God, this is just a terrible moment. Here we have this once in a 100-year pandemic that is just devastating every single family on the planet. And I was like, wouldn't it be great if we could kind of rise to the moment and do something bigger than ourselves? So I was like, I wanted to create a coalition of rival brands to make it better. And that was the idea. It would be, we would kind of create all these kind of serendipitous moments where we'd surprise and delight people. We'd like have giant mural projects or whatever, lots of different things
right
that would spontaneously happen. And we're like, all we need to do is get all these different brands together. And we had some people who were like, this is great. Somebody from Kaiser said, yeah, it'd be great. We could work with our arch rivals at Blue Shield. And then we talked to somebody at Blue Shield, and they're like, why would we ever do that? And it was unfortunate, but I was like, it would have been so wonderful if we could have kind of created a coalition that was bigger than ourselves to make things better. Right. So, again, that's about as ambitious as it gets. It was kind of the Manhattan Project of for the moment, but we gave it a go. And the cool thing is there are people out there who tend to be leaning into corporate social responsibility. So if you're running corporate social responsibility at a big brand, you probably give a damn about all of these initiatives, doing the right thing,
absolutely,
and equity and representation. And so the cool thing is that in this category, we are finding lots of good people who want to figure out, okay, how can we show what we're doing rather than talk about it? Because there are a lot of brands that are doing it for the wrong reasons, and that's not good either.
Right.
But, there are people out there who are doing some cool things and want to figure out how to tell those stories in a really exciting way. And we love to work with them.
Yeah, there's some happy medium there, because I think there's so many stories out there of people giving in a huge way, businesses or people, founders of the businesses. No one even knows about it. Like, it's totally just checks getting cut, wire transfers. They're just doing it. They're not trying to publicly. It's not even out there. And then there's a lot of people on the flip side. The very far flip side is they're just giving with the approach to try to grow, to try to use this as a way to gain traffic, gain exposure, gain momentum in their brand. And they're not really doing it for the good as much as it's really just a marketing effort. It's just
checking the box.
It's like the Monopoly game at the McDonald's. Let's just be real. I mean, it's the same kind of similar strategy, right? Like that's why you're going to McDonald's, to get the McDonald's tickets, you're not really there as much as you are. Yeah, you get the burger, but you're there part because you got the McDonald's thing, get the Monopoly, and so that's a similar far side strategy of giving. It's giving, they're giving you a Monopoly ticket, but it's a strategy to get you to buy a burger. Let's just be real. So
I was always leaning into those damn Monopoly games.
Oh, me too, man. When I was a kid, I loved those games, man.
I love those. Yeah.
Oh, it was like one of the most ingenious games until you find that. I watched the Netflix thing where the dude figured out how to hook up with the printers, and it was a big, not Ponzi scheme, but someone basically gamified it and was able to win consecutively times by knowing the inside printers and things like that, because obviously they had to get printed somewhere. And when you think about it, as a kid, we would have never thought about that, but it was a great strategy. Let's just be real. And probably one of the most successful ones because it's been around since I've been a kid. They've still been using the same strategy. So it has to successfully work. Otherwise they wouldn't keep doing it. So, but in the lines of giving, in the lines of social responsibility, in the lines of telling that story, where do brands start? Where do you start with brands when they're like kind of coming to you? Is there a place, a starting ground? Is there, how do you get going with that?
Well, you got to kind of, most of the time what people do is they come to us and they say, hey, we need a blank.
Right.
And then what I say is, what are you trying to accomplish? Because what you came up with might not be what the best way to go. So for example, we had a client who said, yeah, we're sponsoring this coding thing in Seattle. We want to do something like an ad or something. And I was like, okay. So we went to the coding school, and it's called Ada Academy. And it's basically this kind of like Black Girls Code. It's a coding school designed to help people who normally don't get a shot at coding, and women mainly, but also LGBTQ folks. And
awesome.
It's totally underrepresented. And so we found this one woman who'd always wanted to be a coder,
right?
And she'd been a project manager at a big company. 2 of the 100 coders were women, and she just felt completely unsupported. And so she decides she's so into this. She applies for a scholarship at the school, gets a scholarship, but they have this deal where it's you've got to commit for 6 months. You can't work part-time. You've got to go all in.
Be all in on it.
So she moves to Seattle and does this, and that's it's impressive. But what's more impressive is she had a 2-year-old.
Oh, wow.
So she had to leave her 2-year-old with her husband.
Wow.
And she was going back and forth between Portland and Seattle, 350 miles each week.
Jesus.
To see her family. And she was just like having this really rough existence, sitting on like a $3 patio chair for her desk chair, and, lonely, miserable, working her ass off at this coding thing, and ultimately becomes successful and becomes a coder. And so we heard this story and we're like, this is amazing. So we rode with her in the car, and we filmed her, interviewed her in the car, driving between Portland and Seattle.
Great point.
And we told her story, about trying to become a coder and kind of fulfilling this lifelong dream. And so rather than talking about diversity and equity, we are able to show it.
I love that.
It's like, it was a great story. The client who sponsored the academy felt great for having participated, and it's better all the way around.
Right, getting their perspective, get in their shoes.
You should put a face to it.
Right.
D&I is not like an acronym. It is, and it's a bad one, but it's your sister, it's your cousin, whatever. I mean, there are people out there who have stories to tell that explain why this sort of thing is so important.
And the biggest thing I always take away from stories like that is there's no excuses, folks. This is a lady that's committing everything, and she's putting in all the effort. And the outcome is success. Success. A lot of effort, a lot of grind. And now not only do you have the expertise, you got the story, you got the acumen, you got the, your family looks at you like you're a hero. And then from the sky is the limit. And I always remind anyone listening to just never forget these things. There's so many opportunities sitting right in front of us that you let life will slip bye-bye if you don't take advantage of it. And sometimes it does involve sacrifice. I know, like in my sports car business, we're packaging things up at late at night, and I'm like, why am I doing this? But it's the momentum of a big ball rolling up a hill every day, positive eBay reviews, more successful customers that get attracted to the business, repeat business customers from that. And that leads to a new whole business. It turns from a hobby into a successful business from basically repeating, rinsing, repenting. And the same thing with the podcast, folks, after almost 9-10 years now, and doing it as essentially a hobby, but it's turned into a somewhat business too, and so it's a beautiful thing now. And I just always remind stories like that. Thank you for sharing, because there's just no excuse. There's just no excuse out there. And if we leave that excuse, we can look at ourselves in the mirror and say, that's the excuse right there. We decided not to do it. And because in many kid situations, like you said, there's unfortunate limitations. But now more than ever, I think there are more businesses and brands and opportunities and ways and avenues and the internet and things to do and look at. And just don't leave yourself left-handed. Don't leave yourself just, short by not searching it and looking at it and doing the research and seeing if it's available for you. Because if you don't have a computer, maybe there's someone that's willing to give you a computer for free. You just got to look for it. There's programs. There's so many things. It's amazing. And if you don't look, you don't know. It's just one of those things. But now, my man, we're about to take you into your brain, into your top 10. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Let's go. Apple or Android?
Oh, Apple.
Apple, Netflix or YouTube?
Maybe YouTube.
YouTube, Instagram or Facebook?
Oh, Instagram.
Instagram, chicken or steak if you're thinking about a good meal?
Steak.
Laptop or smartphone?
Wow. I'll go with laptop.
There we go. Get the distractions, notifications out of our way, and let's just focus on work, baby. Spotify or Pandora?
Spotify.
Spotify is incredible too. They have so much good content on there. Movies.
My high school best friend, though, actually came up with the idea for Pandora.
Really?
Long story.
Holy shit.
And
he's well paid.
He didn't develop it, but yeah, sort of. Anyway, that's a different story.
That's
different
a whole nother story. Isn't it crazy that's crazy how when you see that, when someone creates something and it just changes the world. Pandora changes the world in many ways. Movies or video games if you're thinking about entertainment content?
Movies, mostly.
Movies. Reading books or listening to books?
Reading
books. Get the physical. And if you're thinking about diversifying your portfolio, stocks, real estate, or I always throw it out, crypto.
Real estate.
I love it. Physical. You look like you have a beautiful real estate there. In the Oakland area, Berkeley area?
I'm actually up in Tahoe right now.
Bam!
Yeah. With some snow. There's snow in the background.
Wow. Beautiful. I always told myself if I ever make enough money and we, for tax purposes and things like that, South Lake Tahoe, baby, we're going Nevada line. We're gonna no, it's just a beautiful area. I love actually the water of Tahoe.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
Incredible.
You bet.
And for considering how big that lake is, they do such a great job of preserving it, and it's truly like crystal clear. An amazing place. So I'm going to guess this one goes with this. If you're thinking about vacation, oceans or lakes?
Oceans, actually.
There we go.
I like this lake, but oceans are my thing.
What ocean would we go to right now if we're going to go on vacation?
Pacific.
There we go. Hawaii, baby. We're out of here.
Yeah.
Give me the Hawaii, baby. Let's go. Mark Zuckerberg's buying up almost all of the island of Kauai.
I wouldn't doubt it.
He's like, 10,000 acres at a time. Anyone wants to sell, come my way. I'm going to change it's going to be Zuckerberg land over there before we know it. I love Kauai. I love Hawaii. It's a beautiful, beautiful place. When you're waking up for your day, my man, getting yourself ready, pumped, energized for the day, why do you love being you?
Why do I love being me? Well, there's always variety. It's like, that's the great thing about creativity.
Right.
And we've got awesome people, and it's just a different, different clients, different opportunities. You just never know what the day is going to hold.
And more stories to be untold, right? Like there's constantly
More
stories that are just
told.
7 billion stories out there that someone else is going to be telling, baby. Let's go. Let's go. Too much content to be talking about, baby. There's so much content out there. Do you think you'll ever retire from the game of the agency business, creative services, and just say, I'm done. I'm selling, or I'm going to move on?
Yeah. Life's short. You got to, get some balance. So,
right.
So, yeah.
Eventually, you try to exit? You're going to try to possibly sell it to someone else, maybe? Or
I'll let you know when that happens.
Let's go, baby. Let's go. When the time's right. You never know. When the time's right, the door will be knocking. I love that. I love that. Is there a skill that you're trying to master right now or get better at? Is something you're trying to work at?
You mean work-wise or not work-wise?
It doesn't matter. We've had all different types of skills come up, to be honest with you.
Well, I'm making some furniture.
There we go. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. One of my cousins makes furniture for a living.
Yeah, try to get creative about something else.
That's cool. So how are you making your furniture, with like a saw, or how are you doing it?
Lots of tools.
Right.
Yeah. My wife keeps reminding me there are too many tools, but
too many tools. So
it's fun though.
That's your other creative space then, making furniture, dude. That's awesome. Yeah. Are you getting do you use any design, like art, architecture designs, or are you just kind of going at it yourself and doing everything yourself?
A little both. Yeah, I'm making my own designs. Trying to do a modern Adirondack right now. Doing something a little different.
Now that we have eBay and online spaces, you never know. You could just you put up a collection and you can sell this stuff online. If you wanted to, if you ever wanted to, as a passion business, Yeah,
I don't think the MoMA is going to call me anytime soon, but if that happens, you'll be the second to know.
Second to go. There we go. Do you have a favorite app or a tool that helps you run your business?
So Harvest is a company that I started using a long time ago. GetHarvest.com, I think is the site. And it's good. Software isn't any good if people don't use it, right? There's no point. The most powerful software in the world is useless when it's ignored.
Right.
And so the usability on this thing is amazing. It's easy to use, and it's just a great way to go.
And what does it do for your business? Just so people know.
Invoicing, project management.
Got you.
Timekeeping. Yeah.
So it's kind of an all-encompassing tool then too.
Yeah.
So important, dude, because you don't want to be going in this app and then going in this app. And I'll tell you what, in the pandemic, we had to make some hard calls, and we cut out like a $600, $700 tool. We found out no one was using it.
Yeah.
Hey, that's $700 in profit. Let's put that right back into the team. Let's put that right back in the business, baby.
I've done that. Yeah. I did that myself, and it was a hell of a lot more than $600.
Right.
We had. Yeah. And
there's $1,000 tools out there that just no one's really taking advantage of. And it's like, yeah, it's super powerful. It's super amazing. It's super awesome. But if people aren't using this tool, that goes right back into your profit of you guys all surviving and your clients' work. And you'd rather give that back to the team, and you'd rather give that back to your customers and your team's time than a tool no one's using. You know what I mean? Because at least it goes into your profit line instead of going into someone else's. And if there's zero use, like we find no one's using this thing, I'm like, oh my God, let's. And sometimes these things are locked up in contracts. They want to sign you for years at a time, blah, blah, blah. And so it may be hard to get out of them, but you got to just make the move and get out of them. And that's just what you got to do. If you could sit down for a steak dinner with anyone in the world, who you want to chop it up today with?
Oh, wow. Steak dinner with anyone.
Let's go. Steak, baby. You guys got a lot of good steakhouses up there. And
yeah, we do.
I like the Berkeley Marina right there. The skates on the bay, I think it is, man. That's a beautiful.
Yeah, that's a good place.
I like that little spot. It's just for the little
Richard Branson. How about Richard Branson, the Virgin guy?
Hell yeah.
He'd have some stories to tell.
Legendary, and he lives a creative, fascinating life too. When you think about it.
No, he
Virgin
does.
Galactic, baby. We're going to the moon, baby.
Yeah.
I love that dude. I remember watching him when I was a kid. He was having like a dinner or something on top of a hot air balloon or something like that. It's just like, oh my God, can you believe that?
Yeah.
I got you. We gotta go.
he's a character. He's pretty amazing, you know, but passionate, like the woman developer, you know, really knew how to go for it and did so. And no turning back on with that guy.
Can you give our listeners where is the best place for people to learn more about the business? Because I know we got to roll right now.
Schoolofthought.com.
There we go.
As luck would have it. And also Instagram at School of Thought.
Got you. So I'll put those in the show notes, folks. Folks, I really appreciate your time. Tom, my man. Thank you,
Travis,
my dude, for this time, your energy, your passion, your soul, and what you're doing for the world, because I think more and more brands need to live this way. We need to breathe this way. And
I appreciate you reaching out.
Absolutely. For folks, you've been hanging out with Tom Geary and Travis Too Tall and Huff. We want to thank you again for your time today, and let's keep being real.
What another epic episode. And if you enjoyed the episode today, can you please do me a favor and subscribe to our podcast, The Be Real Show, on iTunes or your favorite podcast platform. And also take a little time today, if you don't mind, and give your boy T Huff a review. I would really super appreciate it. And thank you so much for listening today. We're all going through a lot right now. And Real-Time Outsource, my business, is giving back to local and small businesses. Through our social media services and campaigns, we are actually helping small businesses get more exposure during these times, and also when we get through these times. At the end of the day, we don't know how long this is all going to last, but most importantly, you got to think about your business right now. Take it seriously. So come check us out at realtimeoutsource.com, and we would love for you to qualify and get the process started where we can take a look at your business and see if we can qualify you for some of our services. At little to no cost for most of the businesses, and some businesses, you know, you're gonna have to pay, but that's just part of life, right? But most importantly is that I think this is the time, folks, that you can actually help thrive in your business. And so I would love to help you personally with our team. We're all going through a tough time right now, so take advantage of us. realtimeoutsource.com. Check us out, and we would love to do some business with you and help you with your social and digital media in 2020 and beyond.